Welcome to a special Sunday edition. And normally you're not supposed to say the day of the week in these podcasts because everybody's like, oh, that's fucking stupid. You don't do that. I'm like, I'll do whatever I want. But we're doing Sunday. And it's just I'm pointing out that we don't normally go Sundays. It's just how important this time in history happens to be to real Canadians, who I happen to have with me on the program today as well. Please welcome into the program Ryan Lindley, Lachlan Cross, Damian Buntsma from what's the name of the law firm again? Beard Winter LLP. And Caryma Rules from her own law firm, sadvocacy.com. And she's also my friend, and we've got some breaking news because she's in Ottawa, which is where we start today's podcast. Caryma, welcome to the show. Tell us what has been happening, what video you just grabbed. I've got the video. I'll play it at the same time if you can, but tell us what's going on. Oh, hang on. Let me turn your volume on first. That'll work. There we go.
That will help. And thank you. Thank you very much. So we are now on the 9th day of the occupation of Ottawa. And today found out that police are allegedly planning to cut the fuel supply to trucks that are on Wellington. So that's the street directly in front of Parliament. So we're, 9 days into this, and I think at some point it realized, hey, the trucks can't run if they have no fuel, because people have been just carting around jerry cans. You see here, it's in a toboggan, that
looks sick.
That's what's been happening in Ottawa, all across the city, and I guess at some point, we clued in that cutting off supplies puts the people out front in a position of having to make a choice.
Yeah,
they did give a 12-hour advance notice. Okay. So right now
they can stockpile.
Right now they're stockpiling propane, gasoline, and diesel. So things are great in Ottawa.
Well, it's a good thing they have all that GoFundMe money to help keep them there, right?
Wait. Yeah, that got wiped out. We're going to get to that today as well. We'll meet Kris Barber, one of the organizers. Wanted to get some breaking news. Damian Buntsma from Beard Winter LLP is here. We're going to talk about the Ottawa Police Council meeting, which unfortunately, because Damian's a legal mind, he made himself watch yesterday for a long fucking period of time. So we're going to break some of that down. Ryan's got some information on a few arrests coming up. Lachlan's going to talk about how people get into the middle as opposed to being in the extremes. And of course, Caryma is in Ottawa. So this breaking news that you just kind of gave us today, which is that the police after 9 days, and by the way, I love how you laid it out, not sarcastically at all. Police after 9 days have decided that it's time to cut off all of these domestic extremists carrying jerry cans of fuel and propane back and forth through the city center, where the things are not just unsafe, but they're trying to take over government. Is that what I'm like? That stroke of genius was just today. Any details behind the quorum of people that came up with that, or no?
I don't have any special inside information. I guess at the point the police used their eyes and saw what was happening with people carting it. And it's my understanding that ATVs were not allowed to sort of be used to transport the fuel. Imagine that. And so that's why we had 2 horses in town yesterday, if I'm not mistaken. But in any event, police have realized, hey, hold on, we shouldn't be letting them carry the fuel in either, because these trucks, now I'm not a mechanic, but these trucks use a lot of fuel. Because they're running. They have to be running because it's cold. It's very cold out here. So cold. And, the stench of diesel and just fumes in Ottawa has been really overwhelming for the past week. And I guess, again, someone clued in that they can't run without the fuel, and we shouldn't let them have fuel.
I have been hearing, too, that people have been crawling underneath the trucks and cutting. I guess if you cut, Ryan, you might have a better idea. If you cut the brake lines, their horns don't work.
No, the air lines, the air supply line from the air tanks, which also means their brakes will seize closed. So then when they do try to leave, they can't even move the truck.
It's terrible. Should never do that.
Yeah, I haven't heard or seen that. And I hope that everyone, stays safe, because that sounds very unsafe.
And
illegal. Listen, I realize it might be unsafe.
Yeah, it's
but
I'll
take
thing.
A step out and encourage it.
I heard I heard a lot of advocates, health advocates, were talking about people with sensory issues and epilepsy, and that were really being affected because of the noise and because of the fumes. A lot of that is triggering medical conditions to be over the top, and then they can't get help.
Exacerbated. Yeah,
That's the word. Thanks.
You're welcome, bud. That's why we're friends. I help. You help. We all help. Caryma, you and I had a great conversation today. We'll get to Damien in just a second and his take from what the police have done today, according to what he knew yesterday, and our exchange was great. But Brian brings up a great point, and you touched on it. You and I chatted earlier, and you're like, today was the first day I was a citizen. And you went through a laundry list of things that were bothering you as a citizen. Like, you looked at this, and it's different, right? When this is content, you kind of put yourself up here and over here, right? So but when you're a citizen, you got to go about, you got to get, some toiletries. You got to take me through that experience in the core, because the diesel fumes you made mention, obviously the unsafe situation, people down there that are preventing other people from doing stuff. But what is it like to live in it, work in it, go through it?
It's very bizarre. It's very surreal. I needed to run some errands today, and finding, first of all, a place that was open was an ordeal. That's not to say that everything in the city center is closed, but I think a lot of places are not keeping their regular hours, whether it's to protect employees or kind of concern just of being swarmed or what have you. So finding a place was a pain, and just watching sort of people go about their daily lives, like walking their dog down Bank Street, which is not, it intersects with Wellington, but I was quite a ways down, and there was this truck that just sort of drives through, and it's leaning on the horn the whole way. It's the only truck, and it's going from point A to point B. But just sort of the extreme disruption. I've been describing this all along, but just the interference with daily living, I think is quite over the top. And I've been out of underwear for a while, and like the Rideau Center is closed, and it occurs to me that
flip them.
Yeah, flip them inside out, sister.
I've opted for commando. But the Rideau Center has been closed for a week. I don't know if they intend to reopen tomorrow. That's what the sign says, but the trucks are still here. And just everyone in there who relies on shifts to make rent. Things are already tight, I think, generally during the pandemic. And so just realizing that there's a lot of freedom restricted because of what's happening. The only silver lining, and
start a GoFundMe to buy you underwear.
We don't talk about GoFundMe here.
Yeah, we'll get to that too.
Yeah.
The only reason, the only good thing that I could think of is, just walking in the middle of the street. I enjoy that, and I'm gonna have to readjust when I get back elsewhere. But everything else is less free, like decidedly less free. So just the
and less fun to do,
really
right?
Struck me.
Less fun to do with the onslaught of noise and the unbelievable stench of diesel fumes. And if you know this, like as a prolific farter, I know all smells are particulate. So this is not a healthy situation for anybody. And the fact that police, if you've just missed it, Caryma Saad joins us at Caryma Rules on Twitter. She just announced with a video on her Twitter feed, and we put it out too, because once again, I steal all her stuff for clicks. But we put it out too, is that police have decided after 9 days to cut off the fuel supply starting at midnight tonight. So could we be seeing the biggest, the start or the genesis of the biggest L in Canadian history right now? Thoughts?
It could be. I don't know how it will play out, because everyone I've spoken to on the ground really seems determined to stay in place. So things could get hairy. And another thing we talked about earlier today is I don't think folks will leave by persuasion. So that, I don't think anyone's going to be persuaded to just pack up and go.
Why does part of me want to see that?
I'm in the same canoe, and I'm not sure if that says something about my personality or yours.
I think it might.
As lovers of content, I think that's what it is.
No,
okay.
That's
I'm
not
in
it.
Edmonton. I'm in a little hamlet just north of Edmonton. I don't smell gas right now.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't wish this upon Ottawa, but if it does become a complete shit show, I'm okay with it.
Yeah, I know. It's a crazy feeling. But, that goes back to people having to put this in their own hands. And Damian Buntsma he's like, guys, shut the fuck up. I don't want to be on this podcast. But Damian Wood, Beard Winter LLP, you're one of the guys, and your firm was one of the firms that legitimately wrote all the trucking policies. And we had you on about a week ago, which was a shock to Locke, even though he was here for the whole podcast.
Now
He's
I remember.
You look familiar now. Yeah, because he was on with us for 2 hours last week. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. Short-term memory shouldn't be used against people. Mine isn't great either. But I will say this.
No, it's not.
No, it's awful. What was I Googling, Ryan? Dean, slow down. That's what he says all the time. But you wrote the laws for this. It's long settled. This is not a trucker rally. Those are not truckers. But you spent a long period of time yesterday watching the Ottawa Police Services emergency meeting. And one of the things that you said to me, and I want you to kind of take it from here and kind of explain what's going on up until this point, is that there was legitimately, up until last night, there was like no hope that Ottawa police were doing anything of note for the people of the city. Is that correct?
Yeah. I mean, yesterday they convened a emergency meeting, the Ottawa Police Services Board, and what came out of it was that the chair, Diane Deans, had wanted to understand things, but the first thing she wanted to understand was, from what I remember just off the top of my head, was do they have the resources they need in order to deal with this situation? The answer to that was an emphatic no. But then the second part, or the second question she had, was I was absolutely shocked and amazed, was what are we going to do? So they're 9 days in and they were spitballing still about like, are injunctions a thing? Like, is this an unlawful assembly? Like, can we have it declared this? And they're just spitballing with the city solicitor in this meeting. And I'm just like, you mean you didn't have this answer a week ago? I mean, like, you're a week in. How are you not giving instructions to your lawyer to follow a plan? Instead, they still don't have a plan. It's like, literally, like, what are we going to do? I was amazed.
When you say they don't have a plan, like, and Caryma, I want to bring you in on this because you're in Ottawa, right? And I know this is something that you've been following very closely on your Twitter feed. But like, when you say they didn't have a plan up until what we saw today, what do you mean by that? Because I want to get people in on the back and forth that you saw yesterday that led you to this conclusion. Because Peter Slowly was very specific. Let me play a real short clip of him saying, "We're fucked. This is bizarre."
Increasingly, as we see demonstrations, not just here, but elsewhere in the country, where there are efforts by strictly a policing action, we are not as confident as we have been that police alone will resolve this situation substantially, never mind in totality. And it's in that context that I make the statement, there is likely no policing solution to this, but in combination with other efforts, there may be other opportunities to substantially reduce, if not end this demonstration. It is a local demonstration, a provincial demonstration, a national demonstration, and one that has international elements associated to it.
I know, but I don't know what that means, right? When you say other than police, do you need politics? Do you need military? I don't understand the answer. I understand it's not only police, but then what are those other options that are not police options that we might need?
I think you just listed most of them right there.
It's got to make everybody feel good.
Wow.
I do not envy that position at this time at all.
Well, don't worry. It's going to be open soon.
What position? Like his position as police commissioner of Ottawa?
Yeah.
Damien doesn't agree. Why? What are you
Well, no, I mean, you hear it all the time. I mean, and you heard it right from the start as a politician saying, well, we can't tell the police what to do. And the police, you could see from the board meeting yesterday, they were saying, well, it's not a policing solution, so stop looking to me. The politicians, municipally, provincially, federally, they need to come together and bring this to an end because we're outnumbered. We're 150 on the street at one time, they said, to 5,000. In the middle of the meeting yesterday, they said they had procured another 250 RCMP members. But even Diane Deans was like, oh, okay, great. But then, it's like, but to do what? And they have zero instructions to do anything because they're so outnumbered. It's literally, and I'm sure Caryma can talk about literally what's happening on the ground, but it sounds like they're not engaging because they don't have the numbers. They can't even do anything. The other night I saw they were taking away alcohol. And then I saw an hour later, like somebody clearly like at a rave on a snowbank. I mean, she didn't need alcohol probably, but
No, that's 100% right. Like the main sort of action that I've seen is police roaming around in gangs of between 4 to 8 of them, and they stick together and they are really minimally engaging with people. So the most action that I saw was, a beer being poured out. And by, 3 or 4 hours after that was filmed, there was not a cop in sight. So, if it's not a policing solution, certainly this should be an opportunity to talk about how we do rely on police for public security and what role really they should be playing. Because this is, if ever we needed cops, I would say it's right now. And they just don't have the capacity or the willingness to intervene. And, again, I understand the rationale of not wanting to start a riot. Therefore, we're not ticketing or arresting people. But what we have is effectively a suspension of the rule of law.
That is a fucking great statement. Do you think the same thing, Damien, as a lawyer? Is this just like, hey, fuck, go for broke, forget about legal beagles, forget about the law, forget about the rules and regulations we're told to live by as a society just for this one group, right? Is that what you see?
Well, we're about to find out tomorrow how far the rule of law will really go. There'll be the injunction. They're going to be seeking at least interim orders from the judge tomorrow at 1:00. We'll see. The judge was pointing very clearly yesterday. They had a Saturday emergency meeting, a special meeting with the judge, and the judge immediately said, no, we're going to adjourn to Monday because I want to hear from both sides, and said very clearly to both lawyers exactly what his thoughts are on what the issue really is. And I'm not the law in my mind is pretty clear. But this judge was pointing to that in his mind, it's not very clear or on the other side. So I'm like, you've got to be kidding me.
Conservative judge, you think?
I don't know. He might have been showing his hand as well to say to the other side, who would be the defendants, to say, this is what I want to hear about. So be ready. So that there's no way they can appeal it, no way they can deal with any other way. So then nobody can complain. They had an opportunity to address it, but you never know until you get before that judge and hear them talk about the issues.
Worth mentioning out loud, does this seem like a group that's going to really care what a judge says?
To be honest with you, yes and no. The judge said very clearly that is part of the problem. Part of the problem is not whether or not he can make an order and a lawful order. It's whether or not it can be enforceable and against whom. So the issue then becomes, can I enforce it against these truckers who are not named? That's what he says the issue is, to identify who they are, and can we enforce it against individuals we haven't identified? But number two is, then what? Who's going to enforce it? Are we going to have the police enforce it? Are we just going to have people down there, lawyers, keeping track and keeping evidence of people breaching? And then what are the remedies? Like, are you talking about a civil remedy, like damages, like liquidated damages? Or is it going to be contempt proceedings and possibly incarceration? So I to be honest with you, I don't know if these people care. To be quite frank, I think they do care about it to the point where they would invite it, because it will almost galvanize their cause even more. I mean, it's, it won't have
the other part of the equation, right, Damien? That's a really good point, right? Like, I mean, and I think that's part of, and I'm not defending the action or lack of action of the authorities, but that's a big part of this conversation right now is
right.
I don't know what the answer is. I like the idea of just locking them in to the downtown core, setting up a border, and just fucking waiting them out. Like, don't let any food or water
locking
or
them
anything
in with chain link, and then do the barbed wire around the top, little hell in the cell action. Caryma, you be into it then.
Yeah. Well,
I don't hate that idea, and I think it should be explored a little bit more.
Yeah. My understanding of how the one missing piece that we have here that we haven't heard from is, like, Ottawa City Council is correct in their statement when they say they can't direct police, because city councils cannot direct the police department that they oversee. The Solicitor's General Office does. And who directs that? And that's Doug Ford, the Premier of Ontario, and that's who we haven't heard from. And I think that is a big missing piece here. In the direction of police services and resources. Like, where's the OPP?
And Tina Turner. I think when she shows up.
Mad Max, yeah, go ahead. Damien, you wanted to say something.
I was just going to say, didn't Doug Ford come out just this morning or something, say that he'll give any resources to do whatever that they ask for? That's what he said today. Didn't he say that?
He again, the Conservatives have pushed it back, saying that, well, they haven't asked for our help.
Right.
Yeah, but Caryma, he's awfully quiet. I mean, he said he put out one written note, and then he did one thing from behind a lectern. But I want your take on where Fordsy's been, too, because I know you love him.
It's almost like Ottawa isn't in Ontario. That's, and it's funny because there are various overlapping levels of jurisdiction here. You have the city, you have federal government that plays a role, the provincial government, and there's also the National Capital Commission. So there are all of these authorities, and seemingly like the ball is being passed from one to the other. I've been keeping my eye out for Krista. I have not seen her. So, I don't know if that's...
the son-in-law's down there right now having a beer with a trucker.
Yeah.
I'm looking for him too.
He's doing push-ups and squats.
What's
and
his name?
And stuff.
Like
H-Train.
Juicer?
H-Train.
Juggernaut.
H-Train, not Juicer.
H-Train.
Juggernaut.
Okay, all right.
He calls himself the Juggernaut too. Is that he's got the? That's an interesting portion of this that I don't think we kind of covered. Yeah, they're fucking crazy.
You're in trouble when you give yourself
you marry the Juggernaut.
Juggernaut.
But like, one of the narratives I was kind of following this week. This is a real quick aside. Was like she's like balls deep in the QAnon protest, fake trucker, fake everything movement, right? And she's legitimately fighting her dad, and she's fighting him on IG, and she's fighting him on Twitter. She said, fight. And there's this like radio silence from behind that curtain where I happen to know that Doug is very bothered by it. Like, he's super fucking bothered by it. Oh my God. He is like, it's a nightmare for him and his family trying to manage it. I have similar dynamics in my family as well. And things like that blew up with me this weekend too, where I was having like an honest conversation with a family member. I'm like, yeah, listen, this is why no one hangs out with you. And and I have to say, like, I'm very interested to see what happens because listen, this is we all know what this is, right? We've tagged it with what it is, which is an alt-right, very white, super white privileged movement by a group of people that just fucking hate the way Canada works right now, and they think Justin Trudeau's effeminate, and they don't like case in point. I'm going to bring let me just introduce you to one of the organizers here. Alberta boy, I believe. Chris Barber, is he from Alberta?
Okay, you keep trying to say Alberta here on this podcast.
Hanging on Alberta. But this fella, Chris Barber. Now, Chris Barber is one of the fake Convoy organizers, and I wrote a piece about it. He's a noted white supremacist, and he's big mad about losing that $10 million in terror funding because, quote, no one can drive home. I didn't make that up. Let me play this video.
He did say that.
Very well spoken.
I didn't. Well, hang on. Before I get to the video, let me show you a couple of receipts of Chris Barber's finest work. So this is a post that he put up. I want to say this is April 2018. where he's talking to people on his account, I don't know, Facebook, where he calls someone a cum dumpster, and then he says the old man has a buddy north of Edmonton, says all the trucking companies are going tits up, and Trudeau's Indian and Paki immigrants get trucks paid for by the federal government and come in and undercut everyone. Do you hear of any of this shit? That's not his best work. This is good.
That spelling of Paki is really offensive.
It was,
isn't
yeah.
it? Well,
why is there a C in there?
There's no C in Pakistan.
That's crazy.
You know what? I don't know if that's the most offensive part of this part.
Yeah, thanks for.
But thank you for pointing out the grammar. Then he's like, "Hey, I heard a guy yell Allah Akbar before he hit. This is a smashed window in the truck of someone who's obviously from India or Pakistan." And this is another one that he put up. 2017, the Canadian dream is all Muslims moving back to their own country with a libtard in each arm. Then this is him with noted white supremacist NMP Jeremy Panzer. I don't know who the toothy chick is in the middle. Doesn't really matter. And this is him walking around doing a video with the old Confederate flag in the background. And the video that I saw, so this guy is like,
so he was on the list of the GoFundMe.
Oh yeah, him, Ben Dichter, Pat King, Tamara Litch, and I'm trying to come up with another couple, but I think those are the main cats. But anyway, the video that he put out today, this guy, his name's Kris Barber, virulent fucking Western racist, supremacist, white supremacist, separatist, fucking hates Canada. That's
just
one thing all these
cats have. Just because there's a couple of
have
bad apples out there, Dean, doesn't mean that this cause isn't worthy. Right?
I'll get to the rest of them after in just a second. But here's the video of
just because
Kris Barber.
He's one of the organizers.
Yeah,
doesn't necessarily taint the whole movement.
Did we mention he's from Alberta?
He's from Alberta, by the way, Western Canada. Exit. May have heard of it. But anyway, this is a video of him being because he's so mad, guys, that the GoFundMe was designated as terror cash and taken by the FBI and CISA.
Oh, I got to see that. I haven't seen this yet.
That now he's blaming Trudeau's Liberals for stealing it, and no one can get home. It's beautiful.
Over you, we're done with this. Stop this shit. This is way bigger than all of us. But now this is on GoFundMe. Everybody demand your money back. Demand something, because now GoFundMe's now come out and said that they're going to donate your dollars to some charity of their wishes. Go fuck yourself, GoFundMe. This is bullshit, and you know it. If people aren't outraged by this, I don't know what else will outrage you. This is absolutely horseshit. This was never about the money for me. I was going to pay for my own fuel to come out here and every other expense I needed. But there's a lot of guys in my group right now that I'm going to have to pay for to get home, and that's bullshit. Because we had that money there, and GoFundMe totally fucked us. So guess what? It's coming, GoFundMe. It's coming.
I love that he's on TikTok. Isn't that?
It's great. Watch this. Watch this. Watch this. I'm going to do something because I got a new camera today, just for this one occasion. Go fuck you. We're going to get the money. I just want to point out, no, you won't.
I guess Kris can go fund himself now.
Hey, you going to get that GoFundMe cash back? I don't think so.
That was a good investment, that camera.
Yeah, it was a great investment. I can zoom out, I can zoom in and stuff. And I got that camera yesterday while he was complaining that the FBI and CISA stole all his terror money. I was shopping with my son, got a great new camera, came home, had a coffee. Great day, actually. Anyway.
Well, I have a lot of questions about and again, I'm confused. How can they do that? I mean, is there
they can do whatever they want. Great.
Well,
great
I think they're giving a certain amount of time for people to request refunds. And after that point, if someone hasn't, they're planning to just use the money elsewhere. I assume it's in their terms of service. I haven't read that. I will say from personal experience that GoFundMe also has the power to just arbitrarily refund everyone without them requesting a refund. So I wonder if this is because, suspicions that some of the donations were, not real people. I don't know. And just planning to put the money into something else. But GoFundMe absolutely has the ability to do automatic refunds.
So
they were apparently...
Do you think there's any case to be made that an outside influence, maybe put pressure on GoFundMe to kill the fund?
The police.
Yeah.
Damien,
Yeah.
what do you know? Yeah, I know a
Well-
little bit too, but I want to know what you know legally about what's going
Well,
on.
legally, I was yesterday. I was commenting just because I was pissed off, and and as I said, to be honest, as soon as I saw that Caryma personally, when she was cut off, like that pissed me off because it said to me that clearly something has gone wrong, where somebody is saying things that are completely untrue in order to interfere with somebody's, let's say, contract or use of terms of using GoFundMe. So in this case, so let's say Caryma's. I'll use Caryma's because it's an easier, to be honest with you, it's a much easier example. Is that if somebody
You're a much easier target, Caryma.
yeah,
For sure.
she's a much easier target to say
Well-
this is it, to support a legal argument here would be for Caryma to say somebody has done something, fundamentally lied, so stretch the truth beyond any reasonable grounds to say that Caryma's doing something that she's not doing in violation of the terms of service. That person has done so in order to intentionally interfere with her contract that she has with GoFundMe.
Okay.
So she could then, let's say, if she started a claim against any individuals, she could say you've intentionally interfered in contractual relations, conspiracy, unlawful conspiracy, defamation, and libel, because I'm sure they didn't fucking call them. I'm sure they sent them an email, which is libel. She could do all of those things. So same, I mean, if you wanted to believe that somehow the Convoy is on the same grounds of good people as Caryma, which they're not, but that people are like saying that they're doing unlawful things, which they are. So therefore, if you're funding unlawful acts, so these supporters are using money that they have raised through grassroots in order to fund unlawful activity, I mean, that's completely different. I mean, objectively, that's exactly what's happening. Unfortunately,
and they need permits and whatnot, right, Damien, in order to protest, and none of so it's easy to just sort of hang that on them, right? Like immediately.
Well,
Yeah.
I think when it turned into an occupation, that was my understanding, and I think some of the violence, and I think it now you can quote me on this. I spoke with some law enforcement people today and yesterday about the GoFundMe thing, and indeed, CSIS, Canada's spy agency, and the FBI dipped into GoFundMe and they said, okay, where's this money coming from? Where's it going and who's doing it?
Right.
And you're going to get the receipts of that in the next week or two. That's my understanding, is that this was always about funding an insurrection in the country. This was always about funding civil what do you call it? Civil unrest in Canada. And it was all about pushing their alt-right agenda. And it's all coming through the United States and Russia, by the way. That's another thing that's going to come out, which was really fucking fascinating to me, is some of the big swinging you-know-whats that are involved in this that are asking for investigations and refunds. Ron DeSantis, governor of Florida, well-known QAnon little wiener, talked about the GoFundMe fraud and asked for donations to be sent back because he really wants to get a refund. Ken Paxton, the former Attorney General of Texas, talking about patriotic Texans that donated. He also really, really, really wants justice and a refund. So I think, if I'm not mistaken, we're going to see kind of the main players kind of come out. Canada's in a position where, which I think as lawyers, and I'd love to hear your point, if you want people to come on side and go, hey, let's call this the insurrection, because that's what this is. It's an attempted coup insurrection by Americans and Russians through the dumbest Canadians in the country. And so because of that, should we not be looking forward to the receipts of like everything? Like, is the government ever, or is this like kind of fit in the world of espionage where we're never going to really find out who was behind it? Or are they going to litigate the shit out of this, show us the receipts so that we can all go, okay, as Canadians, we're unified knowing that these were not truckers, these were not farmers, these were just domestic extremists and white supremacists that are trying to make the country a little more religious and less brown, less black, and less gay.
Sure. I mean, for me, I can tell you what I was most disappointed about. I know this won't fit into your guys' narrative, but I was actually, and this is like a total legal crazy thought here, is that I was kind of hoping that they would release the whole $10 million to the organizers and that it would go to a bank account. So it would go into a Canadian bank account, and then immediately somebody like the city of Ottawa had already lined it up and been prepared. By the way, we heard yesterday they haven't done anything. But if they had have and been prepared, they would have immediately filed for certain injunctive relief in the court, had that money, let's say, possibly designated as a specific fund being used to finance these unlawful activities, occupation, domestic terrorism, whatever you have. Then you freeze the money in a Canadian bank account, have it thrown into court, and then they're just like, yeah, but we just want to cut off the money at the source in the US, which means now our government has zero ability to ever collect or seek any damages because these people don't have anything. What are we going to do? Go and confiscate all their trucks and sell them at an auction? Like, come on.
Yeah.
We apparently they originally said that the first letters of evidence, and this was GoFundMe statement, came from the Ottawa police, saying that they had evidence that there was violence involved, and they were able to prove that. So that's what started that ball rolling. And then the federal government got together and unanimously said, we're going to call GoFundMe on the carpet here, and they're going to testify in front of us to tell us what's going on. And as soon as GoFundMe got wind that they were being called into federal proceedings of the Canadian government, they said, fuck this, and they pulled the plug. So I'm with Damien, though. They should have played the long play and let the money hit a Canadian bank account. Then you've got players. Now you've got players on Canadian soil that you can hold accountable and liable for what happened.
Well, we kind of know who some of those players are. Like, I was doing some research today. Mubin Sheikh, who's a domestic extremist specialist for governments and terror organizations around the world, posted this. Here are the major players, and here's who's behind it. Meet your Canadian trucker convoy organizers. As we've already laid out, Kris Barber is one of them. A guy named James Botter, who shares QAnon hashtag where one go all, whatever. Ben Dichter, he claims the Liberal Party is infested with Islamists. Jason LaFace, linked to the Soldiers of Odin. Tamara Litch, Alberta separatist member of the Yellow Vest Racist Clarion Project. And Pat King, the guy with the sweet shirts. Alberta separatist who warns of Anglo-Saxon replacement. Yeah, but that's who they are. And to the point where Mubi nailed it about an hour ago in a tweet. And again, this dude is like the counterterrorism expert that CNN everybody goes to. He's a professor, he's Canadian, he's a hero, he's a fucking beauty.
Great podcaster too.
Excellent. Yeah, Spies Like Us, great podcast. Canada Unity, a convoy organizers, posted a similar manifesto calling on the ousting of our democratically elected government. Any surprise, post-insurrection MAGA types, Trump ghoster, are cheerleading funding in large part for this spectacle. And I know it's thetrucknews.com, so take it with a grain of salt, but he doesn't repeat or further shit that isn't real because it's his fucking job. So bottom line is that, again, if you're out there getting angry at us that we're reporting facts and talking about, the fallout and where this stuff comes from, I think a lot of you have been co-opted and activated through a series of different weird events, Facebook, etc. And I actually feel sorry for a lot of you people this morning now that a lot of this is coming out. I think you're vulnerable. I think you need to go home and fix relationships with your folks. I think you need some time to get your head right after this whole thing is done, because it is, as of today, starting to come to an end. And this is not dissimilar to different things that are happening around the city, but being treated very differently. This is Toronto, as you all know. Toronto has blocked these guys off. They came to town with like farm trucks, which is fucking hilarious. They came to town with farm trucks, and they weren't allowed to go anywhere. Here's a little video you can see. These guys they've been kettled around the art gallery, and they can't get to where they're going because Toronto police had a plan, and they're sticking to the plan. Several arrests, a bunch of funny ones too, which we'll get to, like this one, where a guy was arrested with assault with a weapon. The weapon was feces. So we got a guy down there throwing some poop, which is really interesting. I'll forget that one. And then we got this guy that threw a smoke bomb and split. He got arrested too. So really only 2 arrests because the police have kind of figured it out. In Vancouver, it's a little different. Vancouver's cool because you got real Canadians standing in the middle of the intersection, not allowing these dorks to go anywhere, and the police are all about it. It's one of the more beautiful scenes that I've seen from this.
Do we know where they're going now?
So the cool part about that is you had Canadians, you had Indigenous folks, you had a bunch of people say, you know what, not in our city, and you had the police working hand in hand with them going, hey, we get it. Thank you for the support. Why so different across the country, Caryma? Like,
I think, Dean, I'm sorry, I think people had time. I don't know if Ottawa really thought this was going to happen. Like, I think there was sense.
That's not true. The Toronto police had ample opportunity to get ahead of this. Ample opportunity. Okay. And they spoke about it for weeks. These people gave press conferences stating their intent, and they did exactly what they said they were going to do in those press conferences.
Believe it? Did Ottawa
even if they didn't, I would say that Ottawa, and I might have said this on the podcast before, Ottawa is really not a city that's conducive to trucks. So it wouldn't be rocket science to block trucks from, parking in front of Parliament and the Prime Minister's office. Right now, is it possible to prevent them from entering the city altogether? Then we can talk about barricades on the highway and whether that would be a violation of Section 6 or Section 2 of the Charter, right? Like our freedom of movement, freedom of expression, all of that. But, to actually protect Wellington Street and the Parliament buildings, I think even if they weren't sure that it would happen, there are probably preventative measures that could have been taken. And then when trucks actually started showing up, doing something then, instead of letting them park and sort of make themselves comfortable. And now to get them out is going to be a whole ordeal.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Caryma knows as well as myself. I think Caryma went to Ottawa U as well. I lived in Ottawa for like 12 years. And
I like what you did there. Hey, you and me were the smartest because we went to Ottawa U.
I know what I'm doing. But my in-laws still live right downtown, actually, where Caryma was at the soup kitchen that they built there. They live like right behind there, like at Lisker High School, like right behind there. And these people, like, this is a residential neighborhood. But if people don't understand the geography of Ottawa. I mean, like, stupid me at the very beginning. I said, these truckers are stupid. Like, what are they thinking? Like, it's not a place where you can just go drive your trucks in. Like, there's a big parking lot where you can park them and go demonstrate. Dumb me didn't think that they were just going to roll up in front of Parliament and just park them there, because there is no, as Caryma said, good, easy way in, out, and whatever. It's like, so what did they do? They drove them right in and just parked them. So, the fact that the city, like Ottawa police or whatever, whoever could have, let's say, planned to stop them from doing so, they didn't. Probably for the same reason. Did not think that this was a possibility, that was their plan.
Even on this podcast, we talked about it leading up to it, that nothing's going to happen here. This is not really a thing. And I remember I was doing the podcast, and then I was talking to other people, and they're like, no, there people that, and we were saying there's no convoy, and it's only 10 trucks in Winnipeg right now, and I'm like, I'm hearing different. I am hearing that this thing's real. So
can I just pause for 1 second? A masked person just approached me to say a gift from Halifax, and the gift is
underwear.
A little baggie of weed.
Weed.
So thank you, masked stranger, whoever you are. That is.
I thought it was underwear.
Yeah.
Also
if
would have been
that's underwear, don't wear it.
A little bit less,
You know what? I'd rather smoke someone's weed than wear their gitch. I'll tell you that.
Apparently, yesterday or last night.
Hang on, before you continue, I just want to point out what just happened here. Someone knew who Caryma was in this hotel and appreciated her work, like Damien did yesterday, who was fully supportive. Caryma had $7,000 in her GoFundMe account snatched as a result of yesterday's or this weekend's big wide sweeping GoFundMe. Like, let's just remove everybody's money that's attached to this because there's so much dark money in it. We can't control it, based on lies that were told by our honky of the day, ladies and gentlemen. Our honky of the day.
Never gets old.
I love it so much. His name's Josh Chernovsky. This guy was a virulent racist and a member of several white supremacy groups until a couple of years ago he decided to switch sides and start fighting with Antifa. This is a video. He has not only pestered Caryma, he has pestered good people with his group of fucking degenerate far left losers. And listen, we talk about the right all the time. The far left extremists are scabs too. So, without further ado, this is a video of Josh, the tough guy, legitimately threatening Caryma either this summer or last summer, which has gone viral. And if you see him, remind him he's our honky of the day.
Yeah, how's the field being recorded too? Fucking jackass. Oh yeah, hey Lee. You like harassing people? You like following people home? Huh? Is that what you fucking want?
Yeah, you got my picture in there too, buddy.
No.
You gonna rush him?
That I apologize for.
No, you didn't say you're taking a picture. You didn't even ask. He's not supporting you. You sludged. Don't get it twisted.
How you get the fuck away?
You
want to get straight?
Guys, come on. He's not doing anything. What did he do? You look worried. Like, did he touch you?
There you go. Honky of the day with a little spray can of mace to spray a brown woman, a person of color, a woman of color just out there doing her job. That guy is the worst individual in the fucking world. Sorry, Caryma. I hated to. I didn't mean to, go so hard.
Yeah, so that was an interaction with my cameraman. I was probably not even a foot behind my cameraman when that was happening. And, it's just not the type of energy that I try to bring to rallies or want to engage with at rallies, particularly from someone who's supposedly, aligned with what I consider myself to be aligned with. So it's distressing to have that kind of thing happen. And yeah, there are a lot of untruths. Even in that video, the idea that anyone has ever followed him home is just preposterous. That's never happened. And, at least maybe anyone under my influence.
Maybe you got confused. It was just his shadow.
He's a little unstable. That's clear.
He doesn't look like too many females have followed him home.
Like this individual was at the Queen's Park rallies on the side of the anti-maskers, right? So we're not talking very long ago. And I applaud sort of a change in heart. I think that that's something that should be encouraged. And, we should be gentle with allowing for that change. Otherwise, people stay entrenched in sort of nefarious groups. But to shift from one extreme to the next, I think, is problematic. And to have spent the past 6-7 months like harassing me when there are, I don't understand it and I don't like it.
Yeah, I guess not. And they're not he's not the only cat. I mean, he's part of a group of people that are like so delusionally weird and they think that like that guy's Twitter handle, he's like Antifa spy. Like all these guys literally think they're in a fucking movie. And because Caryma is eating everybody's lunch by being authentic, they're pissed off. And so they go after her and harass her. So I'm just letting you know at this point, if you're one of those people, you're on my list. So tread carefully because I've got a few terabytes of information that I'd love to unload, and I might do that in the next couple of weeks. But leave the woman alone. She's my friend. She's a reporter. She's a journalist. She's an authentic individual. And when white guys start surrounding brown women of color, any person of color, you are immediately racist. And not only that, you're a fucking wimp. So lighten up because I'm here and I'm fucking tired of it. Anyway, good news is that whole story actually took off, which I thought was fascinating, is that you had your GoFundMe account suspended and then Angels kind of came down and said, hey, we got you. And you can donate and look at her thread, which is at the top of her site at Caryma Rules, the top of her Twitter feed, and you can support her there because she's doing great work. You are the most well-intentioned individual I have ever met in my life, and you have more character than anybody I know. So it's super easy for all of us to stand behind you because you're just like us. We're all the same. You're very welcome. We just happen to be a little uglier.
We say a lot more bad words.
Yeah.
I back on the GoFundMe thing. I have a question that I jotted down when we were talking about it a couple of minutes ago. So, is there a chance? And I don't know if we know the answer to this. Just because I was fascinated by Christopher, his video where he was suggesting that they were going to give it to another charity of their choosing. Would it be possible for some organization outside of GoFundMe to allot those funds to something else?
The way that I understood it, that was the intention at first. Before the whole reversal on their part happened really fast, so it was kind of broken messaging on how they were going to get the money back to people. At first, you had to apply to get your money back. Then they said they were going to do just bulk reversals of the charges and give you your money back that way. But inside that messaging, they also said that anything that was left over would be given to credible registered charities, but it didn't say who was. It didn't say who was choosing those.
All right.
I think it was in conjunction with the organizers of the Convoy GoFundMe was supposed to be that way, and my guess is they probably wanted nothing to do with that, which is why GoFundMe said, "Fine, we'll just give everybody their money back." And whether you apply for it or not, you're just going to get a refund in your bank account or on your credit card statement. So,
which sucks for people like Caryma and I, who really had an eye on some of that money for like a couple of lawsuits.
Yeah, like Damien pointed out, had it landed in a Canadian bank account, like there is, I think it's a class action. I don't know exactly how it's being formulated, but there's an Ottawa lawyer who is looking to recover civil damages. For the disruption, for the noise, for all of the costs associated with what's been going on.
Cleaning up
and
poo.
Yeah, it's just going to be harder to collect on that,
So what is that lawsuit, Damien?
Yeah.
Take us through, because that's another thing you're following, which really interests me, because there's a whole bunch of Schadenfreude involved in it. But a notable Ottawa human rights attorney on behalf of citizens of Ontario has filed a class action lawsuit that has some teeth to it. That was the injunction you were talking about. What's it all about?
Yeah, so the lawyer, his name, and I'm not here obviously to promote other lawyers, not my business, but his name's Paul Champ, and he actually does.
Dude, you don't have to do that. You're still going to get paid by other guys.
Sure. His name's Paul Champ, and he's actually he is more, I would say, an employment lawyer and does a lot of employment type of law. So he's actually represents a lot of employees probably who have been, as he says, terminated as a result of whatever vaccination policies and whatnot through COVID, or just laid off through all that. So for people to say he's some kind of, against or trying to support vaccine mandates is the furthest thing from the truth for Paul. But the lawsuit itself is it's a nuisance. So to say, and I am not I don't do negligence or this kind of law, but it's essentially to say that people have the right to enjoy their private property. And whenever you are acting so that they cannot enjoy their property, then they have a claim. So they're suing in what's called nuisance and useful enjoyment, I think, of property. So it says damages for $4.8 million for nuisance, $5 million in punitive damages, and then that's where then you file that claim in court. Once it's filed in court, you can then seek injunctive relief. So they filed it in court on Friday and immediately sought the assistance of a judge immediately for an injunction. They got an appointment with the judge, Justice McLean, yesterday afternoon at 2:00. And immediately the lawyer for certain defendants. So it was interesting. So I can't remember all the people the lawyer said he did represent, but it was.
Do these names ring a bell? Ben Dichter,
yes,
Jason LaFace, Tamara Lish-Packning.
He said he doesn't represent Patrick King. So to me, that was interesting because I was like, and maybe and I can't remember whether he said he represented Chris Barber or not, but he definitely said he represented Dichter, Tamara Lich, and some other, let's say, of the other ones. So, anyways, they immediately, the lawyer, his name was Keith. Shoot, I had it in here. Anyways, so the lawyer from the constitutional, law group, which is also a huge right-wing organization. Imagine that. I love it when this constitutional law group is essentially an alt-right group, lawyers, and then they immediately sought an adjournment. And the adjournment they sought initially was for like 2 weeks. So it's like, oh, we need to respond. We need 2 weeks. And so Paul obviously opposed this, but the judge said, listen, I want to hear full arguments. And I really think this is the issue, which was, as I said earlier, how do we enforce it against whom? And then make sure we deal with it that way. So they have to come back at 1 o'clock on Monday to argue this thing and have all the materials. So, yeah, I guess so. Yeah, tomorrow's Monday. Oh, geez.
Yeah. Well, listen, you had a long night last night of playing Golden Tee and having pints, dude. I can't explain it.
That is true. So
and
the
photocopying stuff, apparently.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. I have to, like, this is my.
I have one of those in my house.
These are like props when you go to IKEA. I just I grab them and I pay them $10 for this fake photocopier. So when I do these things, I can say to people, yeah, I work really hard. But the best was that the judge even said that they're going to come back at 1 o'clock. And he said, you have to finish, if you're going to do any cross-examinations, by 1 o'clock on Monday. Like, how are you going to get a court reporter to show up and cross-examine, so question these people about whatever affidavits they submitted by Monday? I don't get it. But the best then last night was the Paul Champ. If you go to his Twitter, he literally released videos expressing settlement offers to these truckers, and then that if they signed releases and providing their name and information, their truck license information, and signed the release, that they would agree to release them and never sue them. So,
and anybody take them up on it?
No, I think these people are so paranoid and conspiracy theorists, they would think that somehow it's a government ploy to give it to CSIS, then they'll show up at their house. They might not be wrong.
Caryma, you've got a point on Pat King you want to make.
Yeah, just that the convoy organizers tried distancing themselves from Pat King. So at some point on their GoFundMe, they had a note saying Pat King has never been involved. He has nothing to do with this. And then Pat King says, well, obviously for optics, because, the media is painting me in this horrible way. And so, that's all it is. If I'm not mistaken, he was listed, and I have to double check this. I believe that his name and email address, and I think his email address, was something Trucker Convoy or, a Canada United, or I have to double check this. But yeah, they're now taking the position that he is just like a hanger-oner and, isn't really part of this party.
These guys are such bad planners, aren't they? Like, because part of this has worked, which is, for the bad planning, I'm like, not bad. But, just fuck, oh, no, he's not with us. She's with us. No, she's not with us. And I know it's all distraction and shit like that, but fucking fascinating. Like, in terms of, the finger pointing or the absolution, and even though their names are on every document, pictures of them with each other signing documents, videos of them getting together with the truck convoy, guys like Pat King putting out a video last week going, I'm taking over now, the big dogs are taking over. It's like, and this is the cowardly portion of this. I don't know if you guys have noticed this. Anytime someone gets associated with this, they run, right? Like, I give some of the racists credit for going, yeah, this is my name and I'm in the racist insurrection convoy. But, nobody wants to come on with us to talk about it.
It's their modus operandi.
It's fucking hilarious.
Yeah, it's a fake name. It's a fake profile. It's fake. Right? Everything's fake, right? So,
yeah. Anyway,
reality.
Damien, appreciate you doing some time with us today. Thank you very, very much for stopping by. Damien,
so nice to meet you.
Yeah,
nice to meet you again, Damien.
Yeah, buddy. Maybe remember me next time.
We're just forming our own legal team, just so you guys know.
Yeah, well, it's great. I'm here for it.
I just robe myself in as many well-intentioned, competent legal scholars as I can, because I really think it's a smart thing to do. Anyway, Damien,
you
you're
might
wonderful.
need
Thanks,
it
buddy.
too. Just throwing that out there.
Thanks, brother. We'll talk to you soon.
Yeah,
Damien Buntsma, who is
good luck,
from
Caryma.
Beard. Yeah, good luck, Caryma's right. Beard LLP.
Why does everyone want to say that, Caryma?
Well, she's getting
I don't
fucking her
know.
teeth
I don't
kicked in
know.
the city, right? Do you know what I think you should do? And I really mean this from the bottom of my heart. I really think you should start naming names.
I'm not sick of it yet.
No, I was going to say give it a week.
Yeah,
There's
go
only
ahead.
so much kind of energy and like hostility I can take or want to put out there. So I've been, I think, quite restrained in my approach.
Yeah,
up to this
you
point.
have. You have. I have the benefit of knowing how egregious those super ultra left wankers are that have been legitimately harassing you, and I know some of the inner workings, and I can tell you this: there's a reason why Caryma is successful, and none of this stuff will matter in a week, because she just gets it done. She goes, yeah, distraction. I'm going to keep doing my job. And you did it again, and you do it again and again and again, and we all get all kinds of gas from it. So thank you. I know you want to go find some underwear. I'll let you spin out.
I'm going
Really,
to use my gift from Halifax.
had to go.
If anybody wants to drop off beer, I'll leave my address in the comments section.
Thanks, Caryma. We'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Caryma.
Go
Caryma
fund
Saad,
me
ladies
beer
and
for
gentlemen.
Locke.
Love her.
I'm starting it.
So did you guys see that the Toronto police cleared the
easy.
streets were out by like 10 o'clock last night? All I kept thinking, and I wanted to bring this up with Caryma, but I ran out of gas there. But 1 million people in Ottawa waking up this morning to hear the news that Toronto had no protesters left over. Like, they must have been like, what the fuck, man?
I told you.
Toronto
I told
police,
you.
well, we're not fucking around yesterday.
Not only did Toronto police block Hospital Row effectively and protect our healthcare workers yesterday, and I want to give them a big shout out. I know they get shit on a lot. But Toronto's infrastructure, Mayor Tory did a wonderful job, and he's still doing a great job staying on this. I give no credit to Doug Ford because he's fucking persona non grata when stuff like this happens. Just waits to see what's in it for him, and then he employs that. But Toronto, like I said to you last week, you guys can try. We don't fuck around here. And not only did they clear out all the protesters around 10:30 last night, but a buddy of mine sent me a note because it was all honking and flags. Like it's like, dude, it's like the white supremacists won the World Cup.
That's a great tweet.
It is good.
It's like the white supremacists won the World Cup, and he said it's just a bunch of dudes that have really weird relationships with their moms. And I thought, it's perfect.
Well, and no relationships with family members right now, probably too, right?
No.
Yeah.
No, it's a tough part. Army Kris.
Speaking of
from
weird
the
relationships,
Fire Effect podcast joins us. Army Kris, ladies and gentlemen.
Gentlemen, how are we doing today?
Not bad. How's the
Have
no
you got the
smoking
illegal vape yet, Army Kris?
No, I got a guy coming up from the States with the 5% stuff. This is garbage.
going?
It's
Yeah, you
wasted
tried to quit
effort.
smoking, for a long period of time.
This is wasted effort.
No, dude, it's fun. You can, dude, I do it all the time. I got a lemon ice in this bad boy right now.
I believe I have mango pineapple.
Oh, look at us, fancy fellas, doing some
wow.
fancy.
Oh my God, I'd stay away from that. I'd be so freaking addicted to that thing. You'd never see me without it.
Like I said, I asked for dirty res smoke flavor, but they didn't have it.
dirty res darts.
Yeah, there you go. How are you, brother?
I love now that he
Doing
used
good.
that to quit smoking, but now he's just doing both.
Yeah, I am. It's costing me more money to quit smoking than I planned.
Well, that's okay as long as you're going to quit, right? You're doing your best to try. It's just like a little series of little things. You'll get there. But where were you? You were fucking just got
Series
back
of
from
things.
Were you? It is. It's a series
So
of things.
I was not in Ottawa, despite what everybody says.
Yeah, should have been.
I was stranded on Vancouver Island.
Okay. But you're back now. You've been taking in the whole thing. You're a 25-year military veteran. You served this country with distinction, many tours of duty overseas. When they say military, like, because that's one of the things we're hearing now is that the military might be brought in to clean the whole thing up. That piqued your interest, and we were going to have you on last week to talk about it because your flight was delayed. You're here today, and you said something in the DM that I thought was interesting. You're like, dude, it's not like you think it is. It's not like guys in tanks, army guys, green guys, guns coming in. What were you talking about? And are you talking to anybody in the service? It's like, yeah, this is probably what's going to happen if we have to go in.
Yeah. So now understand I'm 5 tins deep at this point, so I'll endeavor to articulate as best as I can. So my show was Wednesday night, not plugging my show, but we had a conversation about this. I guess the first thing is people need, unlike the movies where Bruce Willis shows up and grabs the bewildered captain of the police force and says, we're taking over. Doesn't quite work that way. So what we're talking about in reference to Ottawa is it falls under the National Defense Act. So the National Defense Act is basically a framework document that just basically describes the legal terms of reference or construct as to how the Department of National Defense and the Canadian Armed Forces would operate in a situation like this, and several others. And the specific part, there's 8 parts to it, is part 6. And part 6 refers to aid of civil power, where in the opinion of the Attorney General of the affected province, which I believe is Doug Downey in Ontario, correct me if I'm wrong.
Correct.
He's the guy. If he, based on the information provided by, in this case, the Ottawa Police Service, is unable to manage an uprising, a riot, or the potential thereof, would solicit the support of the Canadian Armed Forces. So that's how that works. And the NDA describes the legalities behind it. The Army doesn't come in and take over. The Army comes in and falls under that civil authority and is directed by and controlled by that civil authority in accordance with what the NDA says.
Mm-hmm. So who would the military view as a superior or a boss? Who would they be taking their orders from? Would it be the Ottawa Police?
Correct. So in this case, the Ottawa Police, who are I guess we'll call it the lead on this, or the point on this, would, first of all, they need to have a plan as to what level of support from the military they would want. They would then work with the military out of 4 Canadian Division in Toronto and Joint Task Force Central, which manages domestic operations in Canada, and define what they want. Do you want logistical support? Do you want military police? Do you want guys in riot gear? Like, there's so many questions as to what it would look like. But
legally, it doesn't sound like the military would have much more. I don't want to say this correctly because I don't want to muddy the waters, but would they be able to do much more than what the Ottawa Police are? That's where I think we're going here, right?
Well, so no, they wouldn't, because the Ottawa Police or the OPP, the RCMP, have specific legal rules of engagement, for lack of a better term. It's a term I'm familiar with, as to what you can and cannot do. Escalation of force. And I wish the lawyers were still on because they can speak to this a bit better than me. But I've gone through ROE training in Kingston, depending on the operation, be it domestic or international, as to what you can legally and not legally do. What I feel is that there's a lack of a plan. It feels like the Ottawa Police Service is floundering on this a little bit and doesn't quite understand what their rules of engagement look like. There's a lack of guidance and leadership. Like, not to segue the conversation, but as much as I don't support this current government, it made the right decision when the minister came out and said, we're not touching this, because they don't have a plan, and it would do 3 things. One, they don't want to be involved because it's political suicide. Because 2, it feeds the right-wing media, where the Theo Fleury's, Donald Trump's, Joe Rogan's, Fox News has come out and go, see, look, they had to call in the military because we have 50 million trucks downtown Ottawa. which is not the reality. And three, like, you can argue this all day, if it's peaceful protest or not. You're going to ask a soldier to go and do what? Stop what we defend and I know the word freedom has become a punchline.
Yeah.
Does the international espionage? Yeah, but does the international espionage and reaching into Canada from the alt-right and the States and Russia and that kind of stuff, does that play here? Because I get what you're saying. Like, the last thing anybody wants to see, and listen, we joke around a lot about, hey, it'd be fun to watch guys get their heads kicked in. Like, all that stuff. No one wants to watch Canada's military use force on Canadians. Like, nobody wants to see that. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, from what I've understood and the people that I've talked to, that's a huge goal here for these outside interests, is to really damage the reputation of, the Canadian military, damage the reputation of Canadians in general, the Canadian political machine, which is a fucking joke. I think I love the fact that you said, hey, listen, I hate this government like as much as the next cat, but they did this right. Like, I don't disagree with you. I'm the guy that wrote an article a couple months ago that says Justin Trudeau is a national embarrassment. And I get 500 tweets a day from people calling me his bag licker or a liberal or something like that, right? But, and that's really not the point. The weaponization of that is another whole part of the story. But to hear you say that indeed the government of Canada did the right thing by deferring this to Ottawa police, and then now we're seeing the civic irresponsibility of the people in Ottawa and that are trying to manage this, that seems to be the issue. So what we're trying to figure out is, from a military standpoint, if indeed they do get that
would
call,
it have any impact?
Would it have impact? What would it look like?
There's no scenario that ends well. You are feeding the alt-right machine by sending in the military. They want that. They want the military there. They want that alt-right media will spin doctor fucking troops in the streets with riot batons or whatever it may be. Even if it's a truck driver resupplying fuel to outlying areas where the population of Ottawa can't get gas because all these assholes are downtown Ottawa. Whatever it may be, they will look for any opportunity to show a guy in Canadian patterned camouflage and spin that as to their favor. Like, it is an absolute nightmare to do that.
And to the credit, as they don't get any, but to that point, it's not wrong, because the biggest indication of destabilization of a nation is when it turns its own military on itself.
Absolutely.
So to avoid that at all costs is what the military, thankfully, and certain politicians are smart in saying, we're not going to do that.
Correct.
Yeah. So you look at any other nation.
Listen, when there's an ice storm in Quebec, where there's floods in Manitoba, forest fires in British Columbia, missing children in Saskatchewan. That was my dog. That's when you call the military. Okay. When you need that, when you really need that. This is not the FLQ crisis. Right, we're not talking about real terrorism versus that punchline of domestic terrorism. We're talking about a bunch of assholes congesting the streets of Ottawa that the local authority, the local civil power, is unable to manage.
Correct.
And before you say we need the military, you need to draw on local resources that are already there. The OPP, other regional police forces in the area, and you need to have a fucking plan as to how you're going to contain the problem and manage it. It's jump into we need the military for this is not the
it's the movies.
Forward.
It's people that watch too many movies
at all. No, there's no way.
Yeah, and this circles back to why Doug Ford is to blame, because he's the one that directs the Solicitors General, which is the people that run public safety and policing in the province.
Yep.
And it's been crickets, and he could be the one to direct the Solicitor General to say, listen, I want you to activate provincial. I want you to talk to the federal Attorney General. I want you to enact RCMP support.
He might win the next election if he does that.
Absolutely.
You're absolutely correct. You have no idea how
Ryan is 100% correct.
Yeah, that's how it would spin, and he would look. I don't know if he's waiting to look like a hero because it's an election year, but he's the only one that's missing in this entire equation that could solve the problem. he is the key to solving the problem. So
I kind of like our
That's
idea:
scary.
surround it and cut them off.
Yeah,
Well, and that's so. If you're asking as a military guy what I would do,
Yeah,
I would
please.
simply- I would handle it the same way I would handle it internationally. If you want to, and just fucking bear with me. This is an analogy.
Please don't say drive them over with the Humvee.
No,
we don't have Humvee.
the first thing you do, is cut off their supply chain.
Yeah,
and the cops can do that. Say, listen, you can't.
They're
get
doing
out of
that
your
tonight.
truck and- you can't get out of your truck and go into 7-Eleven and buy a Grandito because you're a threat to public health and safety. So you have to stay here, sir. Like, they need to do what they can do, and they're not doing that. So if you allow them freedom of movement, fine. But there's ways you can contain them and basically force them to say, I don't want to be here anymore. I don't want to shit in the gutter, and I can't get my microwave burrito. I need to go the fuck home.
What about sending in a bunch of mangy pets from the SPCA to mix around with it?
All of these. Listen, it's a brainstorming session.
You know who
There's
knows-
no bad
okay.
ideas, everybody.
I will be honest with you, and I might get in shit for this, Dean, but I'm going to say it anyway.
What about
You know
a
who I would
million
send in?
scorpions?
I would send in the Jehovah's Witnesses.
Yeah.
They would be knocking on these trucks saying, I'd like to talk to you about
The good news.
accepting the Lord in your
Please
heart
read the
and
Watchtower.
stuff.
Here's the
Give them a
Watchtower. Exactly.
magazine. They'd be like, fuck this. I am out of here, man. I'm going home.
I don't know. I don't know if
Send
Chris.
my ex in there to have.
Jehovah's, man.
You could send my ex in there to have detailed conversations about anything too. That might
See,
work.
see.
Yes.
This is strategic.
Send in a bunch of pissed off
I
women
love that.
that want to talk to you about their conversation with their mom this morning and how,
Apparently,
we're not
that's been
communicating anymore. Do
a
that.
bust. It's been a boom time right now for the Ottawa hookers.
Oh
Yeah.
Yeah, apparently that's going
Yeah.
really
Oh,
well
dude.
right now.
I was talking to someone today because he wrote a piece. It'll come out in a long story. It's one of the majors, and I don't like promoting any of the majors, but he's writing a piece on that very thing where it's like, he's like, man, this is it's insane. You know how many sex workers are making off like bandits right now up here? It's unbelievable.
The gig economy is booming.
It's huge. Yeah.
Yeah, I
and
don't
there's,
think,
hey, there's a little benefit. I'm sure some of these greasers are holed up in hotels, and they got to pay to stay there. So good for the economy to some extent, I guess.
I love it. Out here in Alberta, we have a right thing going on right now. Like, they were blocking Coots, Alberta, and then other right-wing truck guys are like, you block my truck, I'm going to blow yours off the map. Get the fuck out of my way.
They're eating themselves.
Yeah.
There's also talk of hotels in downtown Ottawa that are closed because their staff can't get to them. But these guys have all booked rooms, so they can't even get into the hotels because they can't staff the hotel because they won't let the staff in to get to the hotel.
That's a tough one.
Yeah. So
especially
again,
after like 9 days of protesting in the same underwear. Like, you'd want to go have a snack, maybe lay your head down a bit,
shower.
Get as I like to say, a croissant.
Yeah.
Maybe a nice hot shower. Yeah, brush your teeth, maybe floss a bit, wipe yourself up, clean it.
I'm not sure this is a
Clean
big
it.
flossing rally.
If I was one of those guys, I would last one day, because having been to Ottawa many times, I would be down Elgin Street getting a Montreal smoked meat at Schwab's. That's where I'd be.
Yeah. But I don't think what Chris said, back to reality here, he was right about the cutting off of supply chains. I don't know if you're aware, Chris, but as of midnight tonight, Ottawa police have announced that they are removing any sort of fuel delivery to the core of the protest.
Yeah, let's watch that
Figuring it
video.
out then.
Yeah,
So if you
let's
want-
watch
if you
that
wanna-
video.
If you want to use, there you go. Let's roll the clip, because that is exactly correct.
Attaboy.
Yeah.
Let's roll the clip, he says. Here, watch this. This is them finding out that all this fuel, by the way, that's it. It gets cut off at night, and brilliant. Hey, don't bring flammables into a protest with crazies. Good idea.
Look at all these engineers trying to figure out the sled.
How do you get the sled to move?
They're not going to allow anybody to bring in any more fuel. So no propane, no gas cans. Anybody that brings in fuel will be charged with assisting in illegal activity.
They're figuring it out now. They're starting to figure it
This
out.
convoy is illegal, so they're saying now those cops said that they were not going to enforce it today. They wanted them to start enforcing it today. They said no, but at midnight tonight, Anybody that's bringing in jerry cans, propane tanks, fuel of any kind is assisting in illegal activity. The fuel will be seized and you will be charged.
Diesel included.
Diesel included.
No.
What's that, sir?
Fill up all the cars now?
Fill up all the cars today. And if you need to get fuel, get your fuel in today.
Does that include diesel? Is diesel fuel, sir?
Yes, it is.
Captain Petrol there giving out the advice.
Yeah,
All right,
there you
so
go.
it looks like they're starting to figure it out. Like choke the supply chain, contain them, and they'll start to twitch and go home. 100%.
They took that little encampment, that little country kitchen thing they built yesterday. They've made them disassemble that and move it. Apparently, they're putting it in some staging area that's not right where.
Which sucks because Jerry's chili was quite a hit in the downtown core. That's what
I heard they were able to salvage some of it, and it might be available by tomorrow when they have.
Do you guys think
rebuilt.
they were having chili cook-offs to kill time? Because I do.
I'd be there. That's exactly what I'd be doing.
If I was there, I'd be like, boy, we got a couple days to kill before the weekend. Chili cook-off.
Get some of them city squirrels. Start skinning.
No offense to this group, I feel like I have to be the voice of reason and not offend you. So no offense to this group about your cooking, but let me just say this because I just wanted to point this out. I'm not going to eat chili made by people that don't believe in science at all. So
or wash their hands or have the means to wash their hands.
Yeah, that's just one of those things. It's just like because I saw Caryma put up a bunch of videos of like open air street egg sandwiches, and it's like had a sign. It was in a bucket and had a sign above it. It's like help yourself. Caryma's like,
yeah,
I'm good.
It's like if you're ever eating Jimmy's food from the locker room, it's always like a roll of the dice. There's like a 75% chance you're going to get diarrhea. He's not impacted. I don't know what's wrong with you. I've been eating it for a week. Well,
and funny you mentioned that because I went to his wrestling debut last night, which was at a community hall. And he goes, "Oh, they got food there." I said, "There's no scenario on earth where I'm eating food from the community hall where there's midget wrestling happening."
Yeah, they forget about that. Like everybody just eats whatever, right?
He was in a police uniform and had nunchucks. Why don't we send him to Ottawa?
He looked good today. He looked good in that thing yesterday too. I'll tell you that. One of the
I got a lot of tape on that. It's
so funny.
Can I ask you guys a question real quick about the media, mainstream media? Like, I don't want to bag on them because we all know they're terrible and they've misrepresented this whole thing anyway.
Mm-hmm.
I got a bunch of tweets from people, and we had I think we got 8,000 new followers this weekend or something like that between accounts. It's been kind of crazy.
Yeah,
because we're trying to just report the truth, right? Have some fun, talk about it, calm people down. But I want to ask you a question because I've seen a bunch of videos. I shouldn't laugh. I've seen a bunch of videos. Not I seen. Now I'm like them. Look what's happening.
I see the inside of a book.
I've seen a couple. Well, not a couple. A bunch of videos of people getting in the way of news reports, and they're fucking egregious this week. And I've watched all these reporters tweeting back and forth support for each other, like, "Oh, I can't believe this has happened to you." And because I work with Caryma, who just goes through it, right? She's just like, fuck, whatever, keep doing the work.
Through.
She doesn't talk about all the times that she gets assaulted and accosted and pushed around. And I've watched so many reporters in Toronto, Ottawa, Vancouver, Calgary get told, you see these guys walking by, they're doing a report. I'm live from Ottawa, and some guy goes, "Fuck you!"
Yeah,
you're like, mainstream media lies, and I'm like, yeah, he's right, but it's probably not something I would do. But they're all right. These guys are all being lied to and have been for a long time by mainstream media, who we all know is not representing this story properly, right? At all. They're still using words like trucker rally and meet with. There are no truckers. They're all just a dumb bunch of fucking stupid domestic extremists and stupid honkies. That's all they are. Alt-right wieners, racists, white supremacists. Anyway, I don't want to get too
I like
mean,
how you're
so
on their side.
I'm going to hang on there. But I watch these guys get yelled at on the street, and I'm like, turnabout's fair pay. Right? I don't have a problem with it. I do have a problem with some of it. Like my boy Sean, who works for one of the majors here in Canada, he's doing a report yesterday, And I got to
Queen
tell
of
you, meth is a hell of a drug, everyone.
The background, a lot of people yelling various expletives at the media, which was going on all day. But the reality is that
tell the truth, or are you going to lie again about what's
and that
happening?
you're getting a pretty good sense of what people were saying all day
you know
here.
what?
So
You guys
people
lie
trying to get
all
their
the
message
time.
across
Go
about
away, go home.
vaccinations. And we listened and we broadcast what they had to say. But what you're hearing is it doesn't matter what you say, it doesn't matter what you report. This is what you get from people at this protest today. Mark?
Did you see the
That was good. He rolled with it.
That
Nice.
chick was literally running the bar last night at midget wrestling.
Did you see the guy in the background? Did you see his sign? That's the guy with
Keep
the
your
lasers.
lasers off me. Did you see that? This is who, like, we're laughing. These people all need very serious emotional and mental help. But I want you just, it was like Monday Night Football if Chris Collinsworth was a meth head. Like the slide in, you know, where he slides into the shot with Al. Watch this. This is fucking
Probably
awesome.
in the background, a lot of people yelling various expletives at the media, which was going on all day. But the reality is that
Tell the truth, or are you going to lie again about what's
and that
happening?
you're getting a
with
pretty
Rick
good sense of
James.
what people were saying all
No,
day
you know
here.
what?
So
You guys
people
lie
trying to get their
all the
message
time.
across
Go
about
away, go home.
vaccination.
Wow.
Stop lasering our people.
Look at
That's awesome.
I got a
There's so much going on there. There's so much going on there.
It
And
is.
I like Sean.
I
Sean's
love
a good
Sean.
dude.
Yeah.
Like he really is. He's
trying to
like
do his
just,
Look at his face.
just trying to do his job.
Look at his face.
Unfortunately, the crest on his coat would suggest that he works for a power center instead of a media outlet. But he is legitimately one of those good guys. So I feel sorry for him. But look
Yeah,
at
there's,
Look at his
and I've
face.
said this before.
she's not wasted at all.
She's just twisted.
Fuck.
I've said this before. There's a lot of really good people that are still in mainstream media. I know that it's a popular
Sean's
thing
one of
just
them.
to shit on them, but yeah, there's a lot of guys that look at that.
Look,
What am I doing? I'll
I
be
won't
home
lie.
soon, honey.
I would have took her to a Don't Air shop after the bar.
Her eyes are too close
Right?
together. I
How
noticed.
can you not, man?
She only needs one
She'd say-
goggle to swim in the
Here's
pool.
what she'd say. Do you
What's
want to
that?
come over? My ex-husband has the kids this weekend.
Yeah. Yep.
And
Yeah.
also the
Funny
trailer
because
park
it's
we go,
true.
right?
You know what really shocks me about it's kind of sad is how many hot chicks have been sucked into this thing. She's not bad looking. I mean,
She was running the bar at the midget wrestling last night. It's
She
the
was,
best
man.
line so far.
I
She
swear
was,
She
man.
was there.
No, she's in Ontario. There's no way she was in Alberta at the same time.
Oh, that's too funny.
Anyway, boys, thank you for this, guys. It's been a lot of fun. I think it's been therapeutic for me. Yesterday I was a little
Same.
agitated by these guys. Like I think all day Saturday, I typed the word pussy about 4 billion times. Yesterday it was just
You know what?
okay, see you later.
You know what? We're trying to sign off, but I do want to say I still appreciate the fact that this has been largely peaceful. I think that's worth highlighting. I know we're having some fun with it, and it's fantastic content and outside looking in. I wake up every morning and I go, oh, I hope something didn't go like sideways here.
Yeah.
I honestly do, and I'm not a path, like I'm not that guy. Like if something did go down, I'm sure I'll be able to deal with it. But at the end of the day, I think it speaks to the fact that we still live in a pretty good fucking country.
Yeah, we do.
Agree.
Yeah, we're buoyed
Yeah.
by it, right? Like we're
Yeah.
buoyed. I'm
Let's
buoyed
be
by what I
honest.
saw in Vancouver. I'm buoyed by what I saw in Toronto this week, and the fact that it's coming to an end in Ottawa. And you know what? You're right. Like I mean, we shit all over the extreme portions of this.
Yeah.
There's, I said it earlier in the show. There are good people who are wrapped up in this who truly
Yeah.
need some help, and I feel sorry for. But I think the underlying reason why there hasn't been any extreme violence is that I think deep down we still care about each other. I think it, and I like that. I like that I like what it says about a good
You're right.
portion of the people who are misguided at this place and around these areas, because I believe that's the case. I think they've been co-opted and activated by an ideology, and I feel sorry for them. So at least we have that decency. Now, having said that, it ain't over yet, so we'll see what happens, right?
No.
I tried to be fair the other day to the truck drivers that were there that had good intent. They are vaccinated. They're like you and I. We're tired of masks. I'm tired of QR codes. I'm tired of fucking bars closing.
We're all tired of it.
Everybody,
Chris, we're all fucking sick of it.
But manage it properly, and do not stand on the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier and dance, because you will get your fucking head kicked in. So I get it. You got a small group wrecking what could have been better, and the media has gone two different directions with it.
Yeah.
And the mainstream media is the biggest threat to truth and fact that I could ever see.
Yeah, Lachlan.
It's all my
No,
fault.
he's not mainstream. No, just because he works for like a broadcast company doesn't mean he's mainstream.
I got two newest sources: 95.7 Cruise FM, the Locker Room, and the Dean Blundell Network. That's all I listen.
That's good. I've been reading that a lot lately. We take it seriously. I love news. Hey guys, just so you know, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart, I know we do a lot of cool stuff around here. I know we like to have a lot of fun, but I can tell you this: the one thing that means something to me is news.
You know what?
On behalf of the network, I'd like to apologize to everybody for this toy.
Cameras.
Yeah, it's called a Hubble Cam HD. Let me just say this. Let me say this about this podcast. It was a great one.
He's got a new cam, man. I'm getting that.
Yeah, that's the best. Ryan, it doesn't work when you stick your face in the camera. You got to be able to not move and go like this.
I know, but I don't have a remote like yours. I have to do mine. I have to do mine manually.
Manually, yeah.
Thanks, boys. Great to see y'all.
Like a lot of things in my life.
Thanks.
See you tomorrow, Locke. See you tomorrow, Ryan. See you tomorrow.
I'll see you tomorrow,
Ryan.
I guess.
Kris, see you another day. Appreciate you, brother.
Check out Fire for Effect podcast. It's great.
Yeah, Fire for Effect, the podcast. Thanks, Ryan. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
We'll talk to you soon.
Love you, buddy.
Love you too, pal.
Stay safe.
Yeah, I will. Don't worry. I'll be safe. I'm safe. I'm always safe. Don't bug me. It doesn't bug me at all. No fear. I've seen worse. Have a great day, everybody. Appreciate you all for being here today. It's been a good week to kind of keep you all informed. It's really what we're trying to do. Have some laughs. Take you out of the day. Don't forget, you can join us at deanblundell.com. You can also sign up for our newsletter there. And follow us at It's Dean Blundell on Twitter. D Blundell Show on Twitter. Instagram, Facebook, etc. You'll find it. Also, don't forget to sign up, subscribe to our YouTube channel, where you can see us do all this stuff in real time with the videos that you're hearing on Apple, Google, and Spotify, who removed 70 Joe Rogan episodes today for N-words, apparently. Tough weekend for Joe, too. Anyway, I don't want to go down that road because we're done and I got stuff to do. But I want to encourage everybody to go to domination.com, DMNTN.com, domination.com. People that love to help you produce content if you're a gamer, streamer, etc. Save you, I don't know, hundreds of hours. You get one piece of information, you put it in the file. The file then spits out like 70 pieces of content that you can use all across all platforms. Try them today. Dominate your content with domination.com, DMNTN.com. That and hello to easyautofinancial.ca. Our friends at easyautofinancial.ca know that not everybody's got a perfect credit rating, and they really love helping people get into cars, and they don't want to charge you for any of your financing as well. Totally free financing, free obligation, doesn't cost you a dime. They'll hook you up with the car that you need. And the people that will sell your car, go to easyautofinancial.ca. Again, easyautofinancial.ca. And edsfineimports.com. His gits are on my body. They can be on yours too. The best underwear on the planet. You'll love them. Go to edsfineimports.com. Order gits from Ed today, GITCH3. That's your promo code. And you can find yourself really slipping into the slippers of your wiener. It's like slippers for your genitals. That's what it is. But boxer briefs, pouch in the front. Gitch, edsfineimports.com. Have a great day, everybody. Don't forget to tip your waiter. And we'll see you guys tomorrow right here at 3 o'clock, I believe, is we're going to be back. And we've got a full slate of guests tomorrow. We'll announce that later on in the show because we've got a few things that we want to try to figure out before we announce the show. So a couple of people haven't confirmed, but they will over the next 12 hours. I sure fucking hope. But have a great day, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow. Don't worry. This thing will be over soon. Bye.